We're back. It's like we never left. No, we left for a while. What's going on, guys? Chris and Jack back with you. Sorry about the little, almost 4-week hiatus. Chris and I are both on somewhat of summer vacation over the past few weeks. I was in Quebec with my girlfriend's family, visiting them like we always do every year. Chris was busy with work, but also had some time off. So we kind of went apart, did our own thing, had our own schedules, and then now we're back. I did try to keep you guys in the loop as far as, the TikTok account, but again, still took about 10 days off of that. So we're back. That's number one. Number two, you're going to be seeing a lot more of us on these videos because Chris and I decided, instead of trying to play beat the clock every week, we upgraded to Zoom Premium or Zoom Pro, whatever it's called. So we're able to now go, an hour, 2 hours, however long we want for the podcast. So we're not sitting there rushing on our outros like we have been in recent times. So today we're just going to be covering the trade deadline and what the Jays have been up to over the past couple of weeks. And the unfortunate Bo Bichette injury that transpired in the Orioles game last night. Chris, I don't know about you, but watching that was heartbreaking.
Absolutely. And Jack, first of all, it's great to be back with you doing these. It's I'm excited about the no more time limit. That should make things a little bit better with kind of being able to do whatever we want in the show, not have any sort of limitation. So that's exciting. But yeah, obviously we were thinking we'd start from kind of the most recent stuff and work our way kind of backwards in this one. Because I don't know, some of the things that we might end up talking about might be from months ago, and it's not the most important thing at this moment. So Bo Bichette. I mean, I don't want to say that the season's over if he's out for a month or two, but with the way that he's performed offensively this season in a lineup that's been really underwhelming, it would lead you to believe that if you lose the best offensive player, the team's not going to go anywhere.
He's your best hitter in the lineup for sure.
It's you don't want to say it's a blessing in any way that a guy goes down with a knee like that, but it's good that it happened last night. Monday night and not Tuesday night after the trade deadline. So I'm sure this would change the plans a bit for the front office, especially as they're getting updates on what the actual injury is. Obviously, we don't know yet.
I'm scouring Twitter waiting for an update. Got
Twitter or X open. So we're going to kind of just keep an eye out for the update. Jack was saying maybe around noon we could expect something. So that should be when we're recording. So we'll keep you updated there.
That was what I heard from Keegan Matheson. Shout out Keegan.
Jack, the Jays have already been linked to a certain middle infielder.
Yes.
That they were going to move to second base. Tim Anderson of the Chicago White Sox. I think now if Bo's out for any extended period of time, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think you have to get him.
Dude. Well, I was talking to a couple buddies, Nick and Owen. It's always those two that I'm talking Blue Jays with, if it's not you. So, a lot of them, both of them are saying Tim Anderson, his power is completely lacking, which is true. He hit his first home run of the season, 4 or 5 days ago. Mm-hmm. But since the All-Star break, the guy's got an OPS over 800 and he's batting 3 of 15 or something. So, he's kind of turned it around. And like you said, if this Bo Bichette injury is extensive and it goes longer than, say, a 15-day IL stint, then you need to plug that hole. And it's an unfortunate truth, but the Jays not calling up guys like Addison Barger and Aurelvis Martinez early in the year just for a 2-week stint just to try them out at the major league level, this injury doesn't allow you to promote internally because, I love Addison Barger, but he hasn't had any big league at-bats besides spring training, and that's not even really technically big league at bats. He's coming in the dog days of August and September is the worst time to call a kid up, unless he's a top, 5 prospect in all of baseball, like a Jackson Holiday or a Colton Cowser or any of the 5, 10, 15, 20 prospects the Orioles have. So
hey, you got to be really bad to get that farm system.
They're the Houston Astros 2.0, man. Remember when Houston was the worst team in baseball for like a 10-year period there? That's exactly what the Orioles were.
There has to be dark days, which I guess there were for the Jays, but not nearly as many as the Orioles. So
no.
I mean, yeah, sometimes it doesn't even work out though. Sometimes you're so bad. Look at the Rockies or the Tigers and your prospects. So they drafted well, but yes, you have to be a bit bad. I know what you're saying though. They don't have that kind of ready-made middle infielder at AAA.
Who's that guy, the utility guy? Is it Davis Schneider?
Davis Schneider, who's absolutely tearing it up.
Yeah, he's got ridiculous numbers in July, but again, he hasn't come up. None of these guys have been up in the majors, so there's no telling what like bringing them up is going to do. You're better off going out and getting a guy who's been in the league for a long time, who has over 1,000 plate appearances in the majors.
He's a good hitter. Tim Anderson is a good hitter. I don't think his lack of power or anything else, or the terrible team that he's on, has really changed.
No,
the fact that he's a good hitter. Obviously, he's not producing as much as we're used to from him, but he's a good. He's a good top 3 hitter. He can be a good.
And he handles lefties well, which this lineup has struggled against lefties all year long and over the past couple seasons. So it makes sense to go and get a guy like that. But at the same time, I've heard a reunion with Teoscar Hernandez get thrown around. I've heard Eloy Jimenez from the White Sox name get thrown around. I'm like, realistically, what are you going to have to give up from the Jays farm system to get, say let's package Tim Anderson to replace Bo Bichette and then Eloy to become your DH platoon guy with Brandon Belt, or your everyday left fielder, and then Varsho or Kiermaier sits on the bench as your 4th outfielder after the deadline. So realistically, who are you giving up to go get those 2 guys who are rental? Well, Anderson's got a club option next year, so he realistically could come back as a second.
Well, Anderson could become the Merrifield maybe if Merrifield decides to leave.
That's what people have been saying, right? Because Merrifield doesn't have a club option.
Now you're starting to look beyond this season, which I like, because obviously the team's going to change a lot next season with the expiring contracts we have. But this is kind of where I sit on this, is that you're all in. Like
you have to be.
You have to do it. Like you can't run out Santiago Espinal for 2 months in a stretch run and be like, well, it's just bad luck. No, you have this day.
Yeah. You have 6 hours and 42 minutes.
Yeah.
To make a trade.
You have exactly that amount of time to figure something out and to continue to try and compete here. It really depends on the results of the injury and the tests or whatever on Bo's knee. But if he's going to be down if he's going on the IL, basically, you have to
plug the hole.
You have to trade for somebody.
I've heard because, the trade for Genesis Cabrera, the return of Chad Green, and a little bit of a spoiler here, but everyone knows at this point we're working recent to least recent. Jordan Hicks coming to the Blue Jays now. I've heard Nate Pearson's name get thrown around by even guys like Blair and Barker. Right? They're talking about how does Pearson fit when Chad Green comes back? He doesn't. Right?
I am in agreements with those guys in saying that he's probably the first person to leave, Nate Pearson.
And the fact that so many different organizations have looked at him and said, we would like to get him, the Jays could sell high.
I mean,
he's only 26.
I think he's probably the best major league trade option, the guy that's played with the major league team this year, just because he was okay. He's got some pedigree to him. He's got obviously really good velocity, which teams are always interested in. So I think that he is a main candidate to be involved in a trade on the deadline day here, which is Tuesday. I think that you have to obviously probably add more to that, but I think it's a decent place to start with giving Pearson a change of scenery. I think his time with the Jays is probably up. Just in the fact that he's been so inconsistent. He's still kind of showing an unwillingness to throw his fastball. So I think that makes sense. I think a change of scenery for him could be good.
Yeah.
Especially now with kind of the crowded bullpen scene that the Jays have going on. A really, 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 really good bullpen, but just it doesn't really matter if you don't have leads late in games. And you need, this team it's evident that this team is just drying up offensively more often than not. So you need some guys in the lineup, hopefully from the trade deadline here, that can, be a threat every time they're at the plate, that they can, have good at bats and kind of be a threat to leave the yard in any at bat. I feel like that would be big. So yeah, like you said, Eloy and Tim Anderson, if you can get them in some sort of package with, that would take a lot. Like you have to go Pearson and maybe like 3 prospects to get that done.
I'd throw an Espinal in that trade too, or Biggio.
Tiedemann. Yeah, I mean, you could put in Espinal.
I truly don't think Ricky Tiedemann's ever going to be available for trade unless it's like
he might be untouchable in the system, but
100%.
You're probably going to need like a top 5 prospect in your system.
Davis Schneider or Addison Barger.
Yeah, even Barger. I mean, he seems like the next homegrown guy to kind of make the jump to the big leagues, maybe next season.
Well, he was the guy, him and Aurelvis Martinez were the 2 guys that we're talking about if Matt Chapman inevitably leaves this franchise next year in free agency, then Addison Barger, Aurelvis Martinez are the next guys up at third base.
But that obviously could change very quickly with the way that the Jays are kind of going out and getting external options for the team, as we've seen kind of recently. They haven't really relied too much on their prospects, aside from Bo and Vladdy when they came up in that big wave.
There's
around that.
There's a name that we haven't talked about in the farm system that, to me,
Arelvis too. Arelvis, I think Arelvis would fit. I think the White Sox would be interested in Arelvis. So
not even Arelvis, in my opinion. There's Spencer Horwitz could be a guy, because the Jays don't need a first base. We have
also he's been playing second base.
Oh yeah,
in AAA recently, which is very weird because he hasn't done that much at all. So it could be kind of, we're trying to showcase that this guy can play this kind of middle infield. Tim Anderson, second base.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's reading too much into it, but he has been. Horwitz has been hitting well recently, and he has been playing second base. So I think Tim Anderson is on everyone's mind today based on what Bichette did. I think it would be a decent fit for the Jays, a decent plug for this injury here. I think it would still allow them to kind of, you can bat Anderson second. You don't really have to change the lineup, the order much. He'll get on base. He probably won't hit for nearly as much power and extra base hits as Bo does, but he'll still, it won't be a drastic difference in the lineup. Which, and who knows, Anderson coming from a non-competitive team to a team in the middle of a race could be good for him. He could really start dialing it in and playing really well. So I think everyone's thinking that Anderson's going to be the guy. Obviously, there were a lot of rumors in Jays land of guys that they could potentially acquire. Cody Bellinger doesn't look like that's going to happen. Juan Soto doesn't look like that's going to happen. Those were like kind of the dream scenarios. Lane Thomas of the Nationals, I like a lot for the Jays, but I just don't know if they're going to do that now because they'd have such a need in the middle infield with this Bo injury. I think they might just get completely sucked up by trying to figure that out. So, I mean, obviously, we're still checking Twitter here. I'm sure that stuff's going to start happening soon. I'm
looking right now.
Hopefully, we'll be able to see some stuff happen live as we're recording here. Maybe not with the trades, but maybe just trades.
The Atlanta Braves have entered the sweepstakes for right-handed pitcher Justin Verlander.
Yeah, they need a starter, I think, and they're really going after one.
I miss Alex Anthopoulos, man.
Yeah,
he was in on everybody when he was here.
Yeah, he's always all in. Yeah, he's always all in. But when you have a talent pool like the Braves do, and that young core, and you're just the best team in the league, I mean, you can kind of maybe add if it works for you, or just stand pat if they're asking too much. You can be in on anyone, but you don't really have to do anything, which is a good place to be. The Jays are not there. The Jays have a big time hole to fill now. But who knows? Maybe they say Bichette's just sore. He'll be out of the lineup for 2 or 3 days. And
I saw a doctor on Twitter last night. I actually made sure he was a doctor, not just some random fan that calls himself doctor or whatever. And he said that he's pretty sure that it's best case scenario. It's just like a slight tweak in his knee. Like he just like a slight tiny sprain, which will probably be like 2 weeks off his knee, and that's it. Or it's a meniscus tear completely. So
I know, like, I feel like, yeah, even the best case scenario is like,
I'm like, it's like heaven and hell is the fucking difference.
I know. I feel like even like best case scenario, you have to make a trade for a middle infielder.
You have,
Like,
yeah.
they're all in. They're all in. They
They
have no
have to
other
be.
option.
They have to
If
be.
they don't do it, you're gonna lose fans.
Yeah, and and to me now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s got to step up more than ever. Bo's been carrying the offense on his back since last September, and now Vladdy's got to do it. Whit Merrifield's as far as I'm concerned, Whit Merrifield's your leadoff hitter for the rest of the year. George Springer has been so bad in the last. Like he's like 1 for his last 38 and 0 for his last 35.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but we can touch on that a bit too as we start going through some game action with the big shuffle of the lineup.
Yeah.
For the Angel series.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to go into the Orioles game last night? Do you want to talk more I feel like we've gone through kind of all the options that the Jays could get. I mean, there could be a kind of left field guy like
Brent Rooker's name's
literally a guy that you don't expect. Brent Rooker. I know I don't know if this was confirmed. It's just something I saw on Twitter by not a reporter, but apparently they're interested in Brent Rooker potentially and a reliever from the A's, Urseg, who's actually pretty good. He throws really hard.
Yeah.
That's a package apparently that they were maybe looking at. Maybe I got ball sack sports on that one. I feel like that would fit. And the A's started their fire sale last night with Jason Peterson.
I mean, here's a guy who used to be a Blue Jay who they have at shortstop that can plug the hole if Bo can come back, by September is Aledmus Diaz, and you wouldn't have to give up a lot to get him. You really wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean,
familiar with the clubhouse, familiar with the coaching staff.
Obviously. Yeah. I mean, you have to do something. If it's not Anderson, it just, obviously it's tough to make a big trade like that, but you got to do something. Even if getting Anderson's not possible, if they're asking for way too much, then you got to, even an Aledmus Diaz, kind of just a plug the hole. Just
not having a good year right now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to trade for some depth. But then if Bo comes back, it gives you better bench depth, with which the Jays bench depth, other than whatever catcher might not be playing that night, is pretty just irrelevant. Like, I don't know, they don't do much for me. Cavan Biggio does not strike fear when he's coming off the bench. And as a fan watching him come up to the plate, you don't expect much, especially when he's facing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs out of the bullpen. He's going to strike out. That's just what happens.
He'll either strike out looking at a ball that's been a strike the whole way, or he'll swing at a pitch that's a ball up.
Yeah.
And I think it's time for the Cavan Biggio and Santiago Espinal experiment to be over and done with. I know Espinal's been batting well over his last 8 games, over 300, but
he's had some weird lack of effort plays. Even yesterday on when he struck out to end the game. Yeah. He barely I was like, run. Yeah. Like Rutschman, obviously he's probably not going to botch that play, but it was in the dirt. Like it still took him a second. It still took him a second to collect that ball, and Espinal's just standing there. It's like, just run. Like you struck out, just run. And then obviously we'll get into another play he had that was just not encouraging.
You talked about the Gunnar Henderson almost beating out the throw to first?
No, the LA play.
That one was terrible too.
That one was really bad. That whole game was bad. But anyways, why don't we kind of give a state of the union? We'll see where the Jays are at here. Yeah. And we will kind of work our way back from when we last talked, and we'll eventually finish our journey, and we'll come to kind of the realization, or we'll figure out how they got here. Mm-hmm. So in the standings, this can't be right. I'm looking at the standings right now. It's saying that here we go. I was looking at the wrong team. I was looking at the Rays. I was like, the Jays are a game and a half back of the Orioles? No. No. The Jays, as we sit today on Tuesday, August 1st, the Jays are 59 and 48. They're 6.5 games back of the Baltimore Orioles, who, man, I mean, I know they're a division rival. I know we're not supposed to like them. We've had history, but
Mm-hmm.
man, you gotta give credit to the Orioles. Like, holy crap! Like,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
like, congrats. You guys have assembled probably one of the best waves of young talent that we've seen since I've been watching baseball. I can't remember. And maybe the Astros and the Cubs come to mind when you see kind of their waves of prospects coming through at the same time from teams that were bad in the past. And I mean, the Astros and the Cubs, what did those waves do?
World Series.
So that's kind of the comparison for the Orioles right now. They are not slowing down. I mean, I know they had a bit of a tough June, but in July they picked it right back up, and they're 6-4 over the last 10. Jays are 5-5. You know, the Jays came into the series, 4-game series against the Orioles, 5.5 games back. So if you sweep that series, you're a game and a half back, with plenty of games still to play. But obviously, the Jays lost game 1, and they sit 6.5 games back with still 3 games here against the Orioles in this series. So I guess best case scenario, you win the next 3, you could be 3.5 back. Still, that's still not that bad. Anyways, let's go over game 1 of this series, and then we will talk about the Jays trade that they did make, because he didn't pitch. But yes, we can talk about what he can bring coming on the road ahead here to the end of the season. So, Jack, the Jays lose 4-2 to the Baltimore Orioles. It was an easily winnable game, which sucks. You know, the Orioles sent Kyle Gibson to the mound, and he got away with some stuff, I'll say. The Jays helped him out big time. He wasn't throwing overpowering stuff. He wasn't pitching that well.
No.
A lot of 91s down the middle, and the Jays just seem to not be able to hit those kind of pitches right now. But, you know, he shuts down the lineup for the most part. Ryan Mountcastle
does what he does against the Jays.
If any of you guys bet Ryan Mountcastle every time he plays against the Toronto Blue Jays. If you have him in fantasy, put him in the lineup whenever he plays the Blue Jays. 2-run double immediately off of Chris Bassett. You know, Bassett did not have his best stuff. He was battling out there. That's what Chris Bassett does. He threw, I think, the most pitches he's thrown this season, just to get through 6 innings. But, you know, he only gave up, and Gunnar Henderson went deep. Gunnar Henderson's really good. 3-0, and then the Orioles tacked on another run. It's 4. It was 4-0. It was 4-0 at one point. It was 4-1 for sure. Whit Merrifield went deep, made it 4-2, and then Felix Bautista came in for a 4-out save, and the Jays were getting hosed a bit by some calls.
Oh, just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you got the best reliever, arguably, in baseball, throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs a couple inches outside, and they're getting called strikes. I mean, that's just impossible. That's impossible. But the Jays did a pretty good job. They got 2 men on in the 9th. 1 out with Merrifield up. I mean, you just got to tip your cap on this one. I'm sure we've all seen the play by now. Austin Hayes with a game-saving catch. You have to assume that if that gets down, 2-run score, and the Jays tie it up. So you kind of fell into bad luck with the umpire. You fell into bad luck with Austin Hayes making that catch. I mean, it wasn't, you know, it was a competitive loss, but that doesn't really matter. No one really wants to hear that.
No.
You know, you got to get to these starters, man. Like, I just can't stress that enough. Against Baltimore, against any playoff team, their back end of their bullpen is going to be filthy. And when you don't have the ability, you know, you got the weakest pitcher probably starting the game, pitching the most innings, you got to put up runs. You got to put up runs off them. And you got to have a lead going into the 7th, because your bullpen is good too. And let's talk about that. Jordan Hicks, the Blue Jays, after they lost to the Angels on Sunday, they got on the phones immediately. They called up the Cardinals and were able to get something done for Jordan Hicks. And I mean, the Blue Jays have not had a pitcher like this in the past, I don't know, maybe ever. Because Jordan Hicks is kind of he's not a unicorn. A lot of guys throw hard, but he's a unique reliever in the fact that he has got just some of the more special arm talent you'll see in the major leagues. Incredibly hard throwing, good movement. He's got a 102 to 104 mile an hour sinker, which is just, I don't even know how you would hit that ever.
Yeah.
And he's been pretty solid this year. He's 1-6, which is kind of funny on the record. Obviously, that doesn't really matter, and the Cardinals are just bad. So I found that to be kind of funny that the most sought after reliever on the market's 1-6. But he's got a good ERA, 3.67 ERA. He's been good in July. He's been kind of rounding into form here as the deadline's been approaching. He saved 8 games for the Cardinals this season, which is big because Jordan Romano, if you didn't hear, he went on the injured list with a back injury, seemingly stemming from the All-Star game, where he tweaked his back in his inning of his appearance there, and then came back, pitched a couple outings, and then in that first game against the Angels, he kind of just locked up. He did not look comfortable out there. He looked stiff as a board, and he just couldn't hit the strike zone. So Jordan Romano's out for now. Jordan Hicks comes in, makes a lot of sense. And it's when you look at the names in the bullpen now and how the guys are set to slot into that bullpen, it's pretty elite, isn't it, Jack?
Oh, dude, it's absolutely elite. Also, another
the strength of the team. Yeah. The pitcher, the rotation in the bullpen. Yeah,
the pitching's been the best part of this team all year long. There's no debate about that. I want to go back quickly and touch on what the deal is with the Jays against the AL East. They are now 7-21 on the year. That's the worst record they've had against it. I don't know. That's the worst record in franchise history at this point in the season. By August, it's the worst. It's painful to watch considering how good this team has the potential to be. They just can't put 2 and 2 together, and it makes you wonder what the hell's going on. Is it the approach at the plate? Because half the guys seem like they have an approach and half the guys seem like they don't. It all trickles down to the hitting coaches, and we've talked about this in the past. I think Guillermo Martinez and Dave Hodges need to fucking go. They like the focus on opposite field approach is so stupid for a guy like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who has power, like the most on the team, arguably top 5 in power hitter in baseball when he pulls it. Don't people in the comments, people who say this and say, no, it's not true. It's like, there's literally video evidence from batting practice of them making Vladdy go the opposite way. So
it's funny. Yeah. It's funny.
I don't understand. You wonder why
done that. He's always just done that.
You wonder why the Orioles and teams that are hitting well are so good, because their hitting coaches go, what are your strengths? Where do you like to hit the ball? I like to pull the ball. Okay, here's how you do that, and here's how you get results. Rather than just taking a guy and saying, your approach, I don't like it. You're going to do it my way because I think it's what's best. Granted, not denying that Guillermo hasn't helped out a few guys in the past. Marcus Semien here on a 1-year contract in 2021. He had a career resurgence, but that's one guy. When the entire lineup is not producing, there's something clinically wrong with the approach to the plate. So, that said, let these guys just do what their strengths are. I guarantee, because not everyone is going to be able to do what Bo Bichette does. Bo Bichette's like an anomaly. He hits the ball to all fields with authority, and he's going to drop in 3 to 5 hits a game on a regular basis. The only guys I can think of that do that around the league are like Freddie Freeman, Arise, maybe Mike Trout when he's healthy. But just let these guys play into their strengths, man. That's all I got to say about the offense being abysmal and how the pitching has carried and everything. And anyway, I went off on
Bullpen's good.
Bullpen's good. Genesis Cabrera, another guy that the Jays got from the Cardinals, he has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's 7 innings pitched or 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. The guy's been tremendous.
The 97 from the left side's nice.
Yeah, and it gives takes a little bit of pressure off of Tim Meza as the only lefty in the pen. It gives him options later in the game. I think Genesis can be a great 5th or 6th inning guy, depending on how late the starters go. And then you got Tim Meza safe for the 7th or the 8th, depending on what the lineup construction looks like or what the matchups are. That said, we know Jordan Romano's on the 15-day. He will be back by mid-August. There's no doubt about that. But Chad Green also is a guy who's going to be coming back. So I feel like we're going to get, any second now. It's 20 minutes to noon. So, in 20 minutes, we could be getting an update on Bo, what the situation is. If they have a definitive date for the return of Chad Green, I could get back to the Nate Pearson thing. I could see them packaging Nate Pearson with one prospect or a Biggio for a Tim Anderson or an Eloy Jimenez. I saw Luis Robert Jr.'s name get thrown around there too. I was like, can I interest you?
That's the dream. But
can I interest you in George Springer's awful contract? No. Because and that's the thing I'd like to talk about with because of going back to these Angel series and the Dodger series and everything. George Springer has been on the coldest streak of his career. This is by far the worst stretch that he's ever had.
Yeah.
He's 0 for 30.
Yeah.
That's not to say he hasn't hit balls well or hard. It's just they found gloves. That's bad luck. But at the same time, that guy being your leadoff hitter for as long as he was like, it got to the point where he was like 0-24. And then Schneider was like, you know what? I think we're going to put Whit in the leadoff spot. I'm like, he should have been in the leadoff spot after 0-15. That's 3 to 4 games worth of data that you have, John. And for a guy who trusts his analytics department more than the eye test.
Yeah.
Come on, son. You got to move him down in the order.
It came a little late, but it was the logical move.
Mm-hmm.
Springer looks lost. He's just swinging at bad pitches. I think that's the thing. It's like just look for pitches, fastball down the middle. Like I don't know why he's swinging at breaking balls off the plate right now. If I'm him, I'm sitting on fastballs, and pitchers are going to make mistakes, especially to a guy who hasn't hit a lick recently. No. Pitchers are going to make mistakes. So if he can zone up, hit fastballs, he'll probably come out of this. But it is tough.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting no production from the middle from that slot in your lineup, the 5-hole now, which is still a big spot, and it's tough.
Yeah. I'm looking
Springer
here.
Struggling.
I'm looking here, Chris, on Twitter.
Yeah.
On 590 The Fan on Blue Jays Talk. Ben Nicholson Smith joined. What's his name? Blake Murphy joined Blake, and he said that J.P. Crawford could be a potential fit since the Mariners are sellers for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
His defense is elite. His hitting is.
He's a bang average hitter, but he's a lefty.
Yeah, he's an average. He's just above average hitter. He's got a good eye at the plate. He could be a viable.
Again, you have to do something, even if it's not the sexiest move. You have to
plug a hole
because you're all in.
Yeah, you have to be.
Oh boy, I just saw an Orioles fan made their profile picture Bichette like limping.
Oh, that's the guy who I was telling you about.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That guy's an absolute. What's his Twitter handle?
At fake Hyun Soo hashtag DFA Mateo is his name. Hyun Soo.
Okay. Yeah, don't be that
DFA
guy.
yourself.
DFA yourself from life. How about that?
Rick.
Yeah.
And we'll see how your Orioles do when they actually have to pitch.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, when they actually have to throw a starter out there.
Yeah.
You get Verlander, I'll eat my words.
Even one guy is not going to make a difference. This team needs 3 legitimate stars. Anyway, yeah, we're not an Orioles podcast. Fuck the Orioles. JP Crawford could be an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
No.
What's he hitting this year?
I think like 263 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's hitting high in the lineup there.
I think he's their leadoff hitter.
He'd be a 2-hole guy. Between Whit and
just plug the fucking hole for Bo until he gets back, and then imagine JP Crawford off the bench or even as your starting second baseman.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. Because Witt can go into left field as your everyday left fielder, and then put Varsho in center and Kiermaier off the bench.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't mind Crawford's numbers for a do something move to a plug a hole for the time being, for a hold the line move.
Hold the line.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a decent option, intriguing option for sure. I like that. Okay. Something's gonna happen today. Okay. Should we go through some games?
Yeah, let's go through some games.
Or some series, just kind of general stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see how the games, how the boys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Angels, fun series.
Yeah.
Took 2 out of 3 from the Angels this past weekend as we start working our way back here. Do we start with the good or the bad?
Define good and bad in this series.
I'd say the good is that the pitching is just really good.
Yeah.
And they limited the Angels. I mean, they had to play some games to get around Ohtani because the Angels don't have much in the lineup, especially with Trout injured after Ohtani. The Jays were pretty smart.
Well, they were only smart after Matt Chapman gave
the
John
Jays
Schneider
had a guy
shit.
in the dugout that he came up with a plan.
Yeah.
And the Jays kind of implemented it. So the pitching's good in this in the Angels series. The offense was it was okay. It did enough, and then it faltered at the end. But what can you do?
What do you know? When this team hits home runs and pulls the ball, they win ball games. Who would have thought? I was at the second game of that series for if you guys didn't know, you probably didn't, because why would we talk about it? Chris and I just celebrated our birthdays. Chris is exactly 1 year and 1 day older than me. He's July 29th. I'm July 30th. So we both celebrated our birthdays going to Jays games. Chris was at the Friday night game, and I was at the Saturday afternoon game. Saw Taylor Ward get hit in the face in real time. Dude. That was so bad, dude. Yeah, I felt like you could hear it. It sounded like a trash, like use that sound bite for the Astros hitting the trash can. Like it was that loud. I felt. Oh yeah. Yeah. I felt so bad for the guy.
Yeah, it's scary. Manoah.
Yeah.
Did that. But honestly, I'd say that's one of the positives you can take out of this series is that Manoah actually put together a decent start.
All things considered.
Not against a great lineup. But he went 4 to 3rd.
Yeah. Better than what we've seen.
Held this guy to a higher standard, man. God damn it. Yeah. Anyways, it's fine because he only gave up 1 earned, 3 walks, 6 Ks. His stuff is getting better. Yeah. I think we're seeing his stuff trend in a better direction, especially his slider. It was looking better. He's still struggling to pitch efficiently. But this was a game where the offense was able to pick him up. Alejandro Kirk, 2 big bombs right in your face, Jack. Game for him. He's starting to come around a bit too. More recently, there were some dark days with Kirky there. But he's starting to, pull the ball, rocket balls out to left, which when he's going well, that's what we're used to him doing. Manoah, 82 pitches. He kind of got taken out of the game because of the Ward incident. I think that Schneider's just like, enough. Like,
the guy was
he just literally hit a guy in the face to load the bases, or the bases ended up loaded. And I think in that situation.
Oh, no. The bases were loaded. He hit him in the face and then the run scored.
Okay. So there you go. Yeah. It's a perfect time to take a picture out of a game.
Yeah. The guy's flustered. Bases are loaded. Like, get him out.
Yeah. So that could be another reason of the short outing. Whoever came into that game.
Genesis. Yep.
Genesis. What a beauty. Yeah. Heck of a job there. Bases loaded, stranding 2 runners, or stranding all the runners with 1 out. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, that was an interesting little moment from the Angels series. Manoah pitched fine. First game that I was at, Gossman pitched really well, except Ohtani got him. In the first inning, first pitch he saw fastball. He yanked it right in my face. I stood up. I stood up. I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, I know I'm a Dodger. No, I'm just kidding. I stood up. I cheered a little bit. It was pretty cool, honestly. A lot of people were cheering. It was weird. You never see that for an away player.
No.
When it's the unicorn like that going deep, you kind of just appreciate it. You might not see something like that again. So,
oh man, dude,
it
was
cool.
so funny too at the game, at the Manoa game, because me and my buddy Nick are sitting there, and they intentionally walked Otani like 2 times in the game, and you'd think that we were at Angel Stadium because everyone was booing, and I'm like, man, there's like 30,000 morons here. Holy shit! Like this is the best option you have to not get damage done against your team, and you're booing it. I know you want to see Otani hit a home run or hit, whatever. He's a unicorn, like you said. But Jesus Christ, man, you're trying to win ball games. It doesn't matter about your, like, fuck your feelings. I don't care.
Well, it was perfect on Friday because he went deep, and that's the only run they scored, and then the Jays won. It was awesome. You got a little bit of everything. Yeah. Danny Jansen hit a bomb in the Friday game.
Yeah.
Danny Jansen's just the best. I don't know where the Jays would be without Danny Jansen.
Can you imagine if we had a lineup of all Danny Jansens?
Of the fact that the Jays have been so not clutch this year, and you have a guy like Danny Jansen who's just been clutch. That's all he's been. That's pretty impressive by him. He's having a career year. He's gonna break all his career highs. He's gonna surpass all those. So
I don't understand why he hasn't been an extension in talks with him. He's a free agent after next year.
He's important for this team. I mean, hopefully he can keep it going into next year and then maybe get an extension after that. But he's very, very important, both with handling the staff and hitting some big time home runs. And
he's the clutchest hitter they have in this lineup.
He is. He has been this season, and it's not saying too much considering the fact that the Jays have not been very clutch all year. But I mean he's been huge. He's been huge. And then obviously, and they dropped the final game. I don't even know what to say. It was kind of a dud of a game. Yeah. It tied 1-1. Yimi Garcia is in extras facing Hunter Renfroe, drops a cement mixer curveball that he just yanks for a home run. And then,
down Broadway.
And then the Jays do score in the bottom of the 10th.
Yeah. Vladdy hit an opposite field single.
Yeah. But that's all they get because Kevin Biggio's coming off the bench facing 100 miles an hour, and he strikes out, and that's what he does. Anyways, 2 or 3 from the Angels is fine, especially because you win the season series against them, which the Jays officially did, and they're a team competing in the wild card against you. The wild card is tight right now. The Yankees suck. They're not a factor, in my opinion.
No.
Red Sox could be a factor. They're a clutch team.
Justin Turner is on pace to have 90 ribbies plus.
Imagine signing Justin Turner instead of trading for Josh Donaldson to be your third baseman. What a good anyways, I would love to go into a Yankee segment for like 20 minutes, but I don't know if it's in the cards today. But maybe we'll save it for next episode because the Yankees suck and I like it. Okay. The Jays, before coming home, they played the other Los Angeles team, my team, the Dodgers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a Dodgers fan. I've explained this. I just like this hat. And I think it's kind of funny to just have that running joke that I'm a Dodgers fan. Anyways, I couldn't lose this series. The Jays could, though. They had probably their worst loss of the season in the midst of this series, but they did win 2-3 against a good team. A good team. It's a good 2-3. It should have been a sweep, though.
Isn't it funny, Chris, how the Jays always have what we call or deem the worst loss of the season, and then like the next week, the next series, it's then the upgraded worst loss of the season?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see a loss like this, though. I don't think you'll see a loss like this again when you're up by 4 runs in the 9th. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's just painful, but yeah.
I stayed up till 1:45 in the morning for that.
Yeah. Basically everything went wrong in the bottom of the 9th after the Jays. Danny Jansen, big clutch hit.
3 bases clearing double.
Yeah, in the top of the 9th to give the Jays, like a 7-3 lead?
Yeah.
Going to the bottom half. And Eric Swanson's in because Romano is just weird. Oh yeah.
And then,
all right, Jack, keep going. We got some noise going here.
6, 7, 8.
Getting a phone call. You take it. You take it.
All right. Yeah. So Jays are up 7-3. Eric Swanson comes in for the save because Jordan Romano, like Chris said, he's weird. No, I'm pretty sure he was just limited rest and they wanted to give him the night off. And you figure, your second best reliever can close a 4-run outing. You'd be wrong.
Second best is, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Meza.
He's been struggling recently.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be your second best reliever.
One of your better righties.
Yeah. So you look at that and you go, okay, it's decent.
Would have been sick to have Hicks.
Yeah, it would have been sweet to have Hicks in that situation. But then Swanson gets in a little bit of trouble, walks a guy or two, gives up a single, stolen base.
Horrible luck.
Remember
the
Chris
Matt
and
Chapman play that he had a double play ball that bounced and hit him in the chest. That was it. When that happened, I'm like, they're balling this.
Yeah, and then Swanson throws a pitch, gets hit to Vladdy, goes off of his glove as he's diving. Ball kicks out to Espinal. Espinal tries to barehand it and is completely flat-footed. And then
it just stands there.
And then Will Smith, who's a decent running catcher. I say decent. He's not fast, but he's not slow.
I will say my boy Will Smith. That's a heck of a play.
Yeah,
that's a great
he
heads-up play.
Runs through the stop sign from his third base coach, and because Espinal thinks he's not going, Espinal just pops up and goes, "Oh shit!" and he throws it.
You never assume he's not.
No.
What are we doing?
Yeah. So then Will Smith comes in to tie the game. With that, Eric Swanson gets yanked. And then in comes Mitch White.
Comes the walking L. The white flag.
L. The white flag. The white flag. Nice. Yeah, Mitch White, who gives up first guy he faces, James Outman. He hangs a 82-mile-an-hour slider like Jimmy did to Hunter.
I've never seen a more down the middle pitch.
Oh my God. And then Outman takes him deep. Kiermaier almost had it, to be fair. He did jump. He made contact with the ball, but it just didn't. I don't even think it went in and out of his glove. I think it just he just missed it by a hair.
It would have been an insane play.
He just got walked off.
They got walked off. They had a chance to obviously score in the top of the 10th. Heaven forbid you score in a big late game situation. Tough loss, but I don't think it can be lost on us fans here that the Jays did win 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. That's not easy to do. That is that's a good series win. But it just leaves a bit to be desired because it should have been a sweep. And you should be a game closer to the Orioles. These are the things that matter. You should be a game closer to the Orioles, game closer to the Rays, and a game ahead, further ahead of the teams chasing you for the last wildcard spot. And you shouldn't even be in the last wildcard spot because Houston has the same record as you.
Yep.
Or maybe they're a game ahead. I don't know. You could be tied with them or whatever. Who knows? But
I'm pretty sure last night was unaffected because the Red Sox lost, and I'm pretty sure Houston lost last night. So the standings are still the same. Which I cannot tell you. I think it's been over 5 times that has fucking happened.
I know.
This year for the Jays where they've lost and the other team just happened to lose as well.
I know. They've had a lot of chances here. But they're not a clutch team right now. They're just not. You look at the Orioles, that's a clutch team.
Yeah, it is a clutch team.
They hit in big spots, and the Jays don't.
No.
But that can change.
Mm-hmm.
Things should be shaken up here today with the lineup, I'm sure. Okay.
Sorry, I'm looking through Twitter right now.
Wow, the Padres have been uncovered as a mystery team and on Justin Verlander.
I saw that.
Why? Sorry.
Yeah, why?
What are you doing?
They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs.
You could trade Snell and Hader.
Yeah.
Because that makes no sense. Okay.
It really doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway.
Yeah. So the Jays 2 of 3 in
Chavez Ravine.
Yeah, good series there. Mariners series to start the road trip out west.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that series is the reason they got Hicks.
Yeah.
Take it away, Jack. Bullpen.
The bullpen. It didn't cut it. And it pains me to say it, but fucking Blue Jays dad on Twitter kind of had a point about the bullpen the whole year. Even though we're like
Blue
top
Jays
5
dad.
in the area.
I know you get a lot of heat.
He had a good
Thank
point.
you for at least admitting that the bullpen is good now after trading.
Yeah. Chris, it's all a blur at this point, man. Shit's starting to blend together. I know, like the Mariners just happen to have ever since last year's wild card game. The Mariners have had this team's number.
I know. It's like the Orioles, man. It's like the Orioles, Red Sox, and Mariners. It's like the Jays are just their bitch.
Yeah, it's
like I want to see, like, I literally want to see the Jays like have a fight against one of these teams and be like, yo,
the Jays don't have that in the clubhouse. Do you remember when we had the 2015-16 teams? Like you had Donaldson, Bautista, Edwin, Russell Martin. Like these guys were like, we were considered like the assholes. Like the Jays were assholes because they were just getting your face, talk shit to you. They didn't give a fuck. At least that way you had a rallying cry. You got your teammates back.
I think John Gibbons too is a big part of that.
Oh, Gibby's
I think John Gibbons, the second that his team was maybe getting, maybe a little disinterested, a little like, he would fire those guys out.
Oh, that was the thing that you loved about him is that like last night, you're telling me if Gibby was the manager of this team, he wouldn't have gone out there screaming at the umpire.
Gibby would have gotten kicked out so hard last night.
And then John Schneider's just sitting there fucking like, oh, it's not a strike. It's not a strike. It's like, John, get out there, get yourself ejected. It's the 9th inning. You're losing this game. You've just lost your shortstop. Give your guys a reason to go out and win the series. Get out there, fight for them. Why are you not doing that? Instead of sitting there like a fucking schoolyard kid, just like, nice job, Timmy. Fuck you, Timmy. Like, that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Go out there and get in his face and say, you have been dog shit all fucking night. You are giving this guy help when he doesn't fucking need it. Straighten it. Like the ejection of Aaron Boone, like from 3 or 4 years ago, that is legendary because I hate the Yankees with a fiery passion, but that's what a manager is supposed to do. Go out there, get in the ump's face and say, my guys are fucking savages in that box. And you're fucking shit. Tighten this shit up. It's like the umpire just sit there and took it. I was like, good.
I mean, yeah. And like after the game, Schneider's like, I don't think Bautista needs any help.
You couldn't have said that to him.
No members of the media can control that. No members of the media or fans watching you say that can control that. The only guy that control that is the ump. So why don't you go tell him?
Exactly.
Yeah. If I'm John Schneider in that situation, I'm out there. I'm drawing lines.
Yeah. Exactly. That ball's
I'm doing snow angels in the dirt, drawing lines and stuff.
I'm starting to wonder.
I'm making it an absolute a majestic.
I'm starting to wonder if he's lost respect in the room.
Nah, I mean, I don't think so.
You don't think Matt Chapman did? With what Matt Chapman did? Saying, why the fuck are we pitching this guy?
In that situation, right? It's the first inning.
Yep.
It's the first game of the series and you have your ace on the mound and there's no one on base. I get it. I get what Chapman's saying. Obviously, the guy's he's intergalactic. He's an alien. Not to play. Like, I get it. Like, he can't hurt you in the first inning. But if you're gonna pitch to him, that's probably the spot to do it. And then he goes deep, obviously, and then you can kind of be like, all right, well, he's still dialed in. Shit, he hit a home run off our ace. Now let's probably be a bit smarter with it. But it's the first inning. Like, I don't know. I didn't really. I don't know. I don't think it really. I don't know if that's the time to intentionally walk him. Who knows?
No, I don't know.
He also exited the game before with an injury, so maybe you're like, oh, he's banged up.
Yeah,
but
I don't know, man. I some of the decisions that John makes are too analytics based. They're not eye test based. Like he would pull Kikuchi as soon as not in his last 2 starts, which actually no, he did it in Seattle too, actually. But in the Dodgers series, what did he do? He let Kikuchi go through the order for a 3rd time. Whereas before he would pull him as soon as it got to the top of the order for the 3rd time. He's like, okay, he's out. Doesn't matter how many. If he's at 78 pitches, if he's at 100 pitches, you're still pulling him.
Sorry, I agree.
All good.
I'm seeing another guy that the Jays could get.
Who's that? Eduardo Rodriguez
for middle infield.
Oh,
Paul DeYoung.
Yeah. Paul DeYoung's he's in the 97th percentile for outs above average. He's a great defender.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fourth in defensive run saves at +35 and sixth in OOA or OAA among shortstops since 2019.
Yeah, I mean, and they've made trades obviously with the Cardinals so far.
Yeah, which there seems to be a nice.
Yeah, I know Atkins and the GM of the Cardinals are tight.
Yeah,
because I was reading an interesting little thing about how the Cabrera trade helped them acquire Hicks because they were already like researching the Jays farm system and stuff like that.
Yeah, we
so I'm sure
back,
those organizations are very familiar with each other now. So that could be a fit. I like that. I would like that. The Toronto
especially because Toronto Cardinals, the St. Louis Blue Jays. What because I saw Paul DeYoung's likely going to be dealt today, if not to the Jays, to another team, because Tommy Edmonds coming off the IL today.
Yeah,
he'll be back as the shortstop for that team.
Dylan Carlson. If you got both those guys, that's the only trade. That's the only trade you need to make today.
I'd want Tyler O'Neill over Dylan Carlson, in all honesty. Tyler O'Neill's a Canadian kid.
I think they're pretty interchangeable, but yeah.
But Tyler O'Neill's under. I guess they're both under team control because Dylan Carlson's only like 24. Tyler O'Neill's like 26 or 27.
Yeah. And Brendan Donovan's hurt right now. He was my number one.
Super utility, better than Biggio in every way, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my only question is,
if you got Donovan, you DFA Biggio in an instant.
I wouldn't even DFA him. I'd keep him on the bench and I'd put him part of the trade. If you're gonna go after Paul DeYoung, you go 1-for-1 Biggio or Espinal for Paul DeYoung, because realistically the Cardinals are selling. They just want to get rid of money. Why not take a guy who's like on a minimal contract?
Yeah.
So I don't know if Paul DeYoung's a guy that they can go out and get. I understand. Yeah, he's a great defender, but my only hesitation with this, Chris, is that the Jays don't need defense; they need offense. Because at this point,
you need a shortstop.
Well, we don't know the status on Bo, which, by the way, it's 12:07. What the fuck, Blue Jays? Give us the update.
It's probably not going to be absolute ideal, whatever happens, because Bo Bichette isn't MLB shortstop.
Yeah.
And those guys don't grow on trees. Those guys aren't really available right now.
No.
Probably the best one is Tim Anderson, but it's going to take the most to get him. So, you kind of have to balance all out. What are you giving up? How long is he going to be your starting shortstop?
Yeah.
And then how long is he going to be a bench bat?
Yeah.
Or a second baseman.
My whole thing is that, whoever you acquired, if Bo needs extensive time, like say, like he needs like 3 or 4 weeks off his feet, and you go out and get a shortstop like a Paul DeYoung who can play second base, that to me is your answer. He's your second baseman as soon as Bo comes back, and then you move Witt to left, and then you put Kiermaier or Varsho on the bench. There's your fourth outfielder.
Probably Varsho.
I'd rather have Kiermaier on the bench as far as clutch hitting goes, because if you need a guy to come up and also he's faster than Varsho is, he's as good of a base runner. He's better defensively. So as far as, which is they're neck and neck in my opinion, but as far as a bench guy who would make more of an impact off the bench, I say Kiermaier.
I mean, they're pretty interchangeable. You're right.
Yeah, they are. But hey, like who knows? Like
some nights
Varshow's starting to heat up too. I think he's like 7 for his last 24 or something. He's batting like 265, 270 over his last stretch. So
yeah, you got some hits against lefties in the Angels series, which I was impressed with. We're not
drove in the game-winning runs in the Dodgers series.
Yeah, with some help from Jason Hayward, but yeah,
with some help. But hey, man, an RBI double's an RBI double.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Speaking of that, game 1 of the Dodgers series, Jay Jackson is the fucking.
Oh yeah, we can't forget.
No. Also,
we can't. Yeah, we can't.
Thoughts and prayers are with him and his son JR and his wife.
Yeah.
He had to leave the team for medical emergency.
I heard some a good thing that saying that it's not
as bad as they're making it seem.
It's not as much of an emergency as everyone thought. It's just they want him there so that the transition, I think, or something's happening can just be a bit smoother or something like that. So yeah. thoughts with Jay Jackson. That's obviously a tough situation. But in the midst of all that, to be pitching as well as he is pretty remarkable. I mean, what's his ERA? Like 0.5 something. Like he's giving up 1 run.
To Aaron Judge.
Yeah, which is like, yeah, I would give up that run too.
Yeah, and that's even more evidence that you could offer Pearson in a trade because Jay Jackson is that guy.
I want Jay Jackson in my bullpen more than I want
Nate Pearson.
Pearson. If the Angels call and it's Ohtani and Trout and they want Jay Jackson, I hang up the phone. Shout out Johnny from Gate 14. That's a funny saying.
That's the funniest fucking
tweet. Yeah, that's a funny tweet. But
we love you, Johnny. We love you, man. But yeah, dude, there's so many like
Jay Jackson legacy game was incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah.
In the highest leverage against a really good Dodgers lineup.
Yeah.
Just striking out guys, swords everywhere. It was just magnificent.
I want to say this too, is that I know the structure's been kind of out of whack today, but trade deadline day is the most hectic day in Major League Baseball. And Chris and I are just we're glad you guys are along with us. We're glad to be talking about the past series. But again, it is older news than what we're talking about today. So us going back and forth, it's not because we don't want to keep the structure like we normally do. It's because any second now we could get a notification on our phone. The Blue Jays have acquired so-and-so from so-and-so, in exchange for so-and-so. So yeah, I don't know, man. No, it's just the Rays and Cubs have made a small trade, apparently. Let me guess. The Rays fleeced the starting pitcher because they saw something from the Cubs AA system, and then they're going to turn him into the next Tyler Glasnow.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean.
And Bob Nightingale says the Astros are the heavy favorites to land Verlander if he is traded.
Makes sense.
Who do they have to give up? They don't even have a prospect in the top 100.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know.
Lance McCullers Jr., you are a New York Met.
That'd be interesting.
I could see that. Luis Garcia, you are a New York Met. Like they do have a lot of starting pitching in the majors though. Like they have when healthy, they have 7 legitimate starters.
They do.
They could give up a guy like Luis Garcia. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could give up a guy like Luis Garcia or who's the guy who pitched for Mexico? The right-hander. Not Christian Javier. They had the other guy.
Urquidy?
Jose Urquidy. Yeah. That could be a guy they send back the other way. He's only 26, and you're trading for a 41-year-old who, granted, is arguably top 5 pitcher all time.
He's been really good.
Time his career's done, but yeah, man. I don't know. I'm still waiting. Can we please, for the love of God, someone tweet something? I turned on Passon's all notifications, Rosenthal's, Keegan Matheson, Nicholson Smith, like all the guys who would be tweeting about the Jays. I turned all of it on, and radio silence.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get answers at some point. Maybe not when we're recording, but at some point we'll be able to talk about it.
Well, it's got to be the next 6 hours.
Yeah. Okay, Jack. I don't know if you want to keep going back farther to the All-Star game and stuff like that. I mean,
we got to shout out Vladdy for what he did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
maybe not the whole All-Star game, but at least the home run derby.
So let me think here. Out of the All-Star game, the Jays had the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Okay, so Padres series was kind of uneventful. We'll skim through it quick. They won. They dropped 2 out of 3 at home.
Yeah,
Padres are the weirdest team I've ever seen in my life. But the Jays did see their best 3 pitchers in the series. Snell, Darvish, and Musgrove. They actually beat Snell,
which is funny.
Not great, considering he's probably the best pitcher in the National League at this moment in time.
He in just 1 month, he went from not even getting talked about to Cy Young finalist.
Yeah, the Cy Young favorite for sure. But he just couldn't find the zone in that game, and the Jays took advantage. Darvish was really good in his start against the Jays, and Musgrove as well. Offense was lifeless in the 2 losses in that series. So yeah, not too much going on there. Just, I don't know, for so much star power in that series, none of them really did much, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then the Diamondback series was quite good. They swept them right out of the All-Star break. I thought that was probably their best series of the year, to be honest. I think they fell behind in 2 of the 3 games at least, but it never seemed like it was in doubt that they were going to come back and take the lead. The Diamondbacks kind of gave away some easy outs in that series as well. They were on the rise, but they've kind of stalled. Jays caught them at a good time. They weren't playing their best, and the Jays kind of did what good teams should do against teams that are inexperienced. And that's just keep piling on, keep scoring late runs. And that was a good series. So we're back to the All-Star break now. We kind of skimmed through the games since. I think we have to give a massive shout out to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for winning the All-Star game. That was definitely the highlight of the Blue Jays in the All-Star break. Very cool moment. He takes down Randy Arozarena in the final. And he does Randy's pose with him, which I thought was pretty cool. The first Jay to ever win the home run derby. Also, he won it after Vlad Senior won it back in
2007. 2007. Yeah.
So that's also really cool. That was a good night. Vlad, he's been better. I'd say, since that. He had some rough stretches in the first half, but he's been more consistent. He's been hitting a bit better. Still doesn't have a home run against the lefty this season, and it's been like a calendar year since he hit a home run against the lefty. But he doesn't see too many lefties. So
yeah, we really don't see a lot of lefties, especially look at the AL East. Like, how many lefties do we have that are starters?
There's like James
Paxton, Sale, Carlos Rodon. Pretty much it. McClanahan. Yeah, that's about it though. Starters anyway. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's sorry, there's a text coming through. Actually, I can't even put my phone into do not disturb, because if I do that, I don't see the tweets. So deal with the dings, guys. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Well, I mean, Vladdy out the gate after the home run derby, he hit like his first at bat against the Diamondbacks. He went deep, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, man, I don't like the power numbers this year, or lack thereof, is concerning.
The Jays might not have a 30 home run hitter,
which is insane.
That's a lot.
Like, who's Bo was the leader on the team, and he had 18 before he got injured.
Yeah.
Again, fingers crossed.
They don't even have a 20 home run hitter.
No. Who's the closest? Bo at 18, and then who's the next closest after him? Vladdy's got 17. See what I mean, though? Like, you need power. You need power in this lineup. In this division, you always need power. Look at every team in the AL East besides the Jays. What do they all have in common that we don't? Power hitter. Rafael Devers is on Boston. Aaron Judge is on the Yankees. Fucking what's his name on the Rays there? Isaac Paredes and Randy Arozarena. Granted, they're not like big home run hitters, but they hit for power when they need to.
Well, yeah, and they're like the Rays' like whole lineup can hit a home run at any point.
Yeah, Jose Siri has 20 home runs.
I know.
Like, what?
He's been huge. Okay.
Check him for the juice.
Yeah, well, I mean, Whit Merrifield has 9 home runs in June or in July, which is funny. So that's
how many he has all year. I'm pretty sure.
Sorry, he's got 7 of his 9 have come.
Yeah, 7 of his 9 in July. Yeah.
Which is funny. Okay. Do you want to end it with this? The Teoscar Hernandez dilemma.
Oh fuck. Yeah.
Because the Jays are interested. Where do you stand on the reunion?
It's tough because I love Teo as a fun, happy-go-lucky guy, but I hate the way he plays baseball. He's lazy in the outfield.
What if he's a DH?
That's different. That's very different. If he's a DH, then fine. I'm good with that.
What if he DHs 80% of the time that he plays?
Fine with me.
Can you live with that?
Yeah, but he also strikes out a lot. He has 142 strikeouts.
He also drives in runs.
That's a good point. He's a run producer.
I think he'd be leading the Jays in RBI.
He probably would be. You're right. Yeah. That's the thing, man. And then also it protects Vladdy, and Vladdy gets more pitches to hit, even though we've been saying that and it hasn't really come to fruition.
And it makes your bench better.
And it makes your bench better because, well, Brandon Belt, I love how selective he is when it works, but when he's selective and he strikes out, it's very annoying.
Yeah. I think it could work. It just depends what you're giving up. It doesn't really make sense to trade a guy and then give up like more than you got. But I don't think that would happen because Swanson was a pretty good get. So yeah, you just have to be smart with that. I think it does kind of make sense, which is funny to say because you traded him. But pure rental, you're not going to sign him.
Oh, that was the whole reason they traded him in the first place, was because they weren't going to sign him.
But it would be addressing a need, which is a middle of the order bat with power that can kind of play some outfield. So I find that very interesting. We'll find out in the next 6.5 hours if they're going to do it, or 5.5 hours if they're going to do it. So Jack, it's been a bit frantic. It's been a bit of a summer extravaganza here. We're going to get back to our normal schedule here, so things will be a lot more concise, hopefully, and we'll be able to cover, there's a couple of series instead of 7 or 8. Oh, one more thing too. The Jays got no hit since we last recorded, which is just
oh yeah,
it's so fitting.
I almost got that out of my memory banks.
The Detroit Tigers, after scoring like 12 runs or 15 runs the game before. Shout out the Tigers though. That's a good moment for them in that series.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fun. It's just it's this team in a nutshell. Very inconsistent, very up and down. They can't string any sort of good baseball together. They can't click at the same time. But you know what they say? You just got to click in October or late September, early October, and then get into the playoffs and just stay hot. So hopefully they can go on a run. Obviously, the Bichette injury makes it a bit tougher to go on a run, but you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith that they're going to figure something out. And by the looks of it, by the fact that he was walking off under his own power, you got to expect that Bo Bichette's going to be back at some point. But like we were saying, at this point, you're all in. You have to do something. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they decide to do. And you just got to hope that the Jays can take some of these games from the Orioles. Hyunjin Ryu, Jack.
Going tonight. He's back.
Going tonight. Going to be very interesting. The Orioles have a lot of good lefties, so hopefully he can neutralize those. They also have a lot of good righties and switch hitters. So they're a good lineup. So hopefully he doesn't just get shelled. Hopefully he gives us something to look forward to with his return. Chad Green on the horizon. Things were looking good until this Bichette injury in terms of like roster construction. If they could have added a couple bats with Bo in there, that would have been a pretty nasty team to have going on the stretch run. But things happen, and they're gonna have to find a way to figure it out once we get word of the injury, which unfortunately hasn't happened yet. But we've been going for almost an hour and a half, Jack. I don't know if you got anything else on your mind, but
not really. I think we've covered everything. It's a matter of just waiting for the news on Bo to drop and the news on what they're going to do in the meantime. But I'm really hoping that he'll be back within like a week or two. Because do you remember the Edwin Diaz injury at the WBC? The guy couldn't walk off, right? His foot.
Well, when you tear an ACL, you're not putting any. If you tear something, you're not putting any weight on it.
Yeah, so he didn't. I don't think he tore anything. I think he just jammed his knee, and I think it hurt for like a little bit.
That could be a sprain.
They didn't say anything about his X-rays, which is
sprained.
Fucking annoying. But again, I guess it makes you got to play your cards close to the vest, right? So
especially with a trade looming.
Yeah. Right.
You don't want teams to know how desperate you are.
No, exactly.
If indeed you are desperate. So it's a little cat and mouse game, probably. But I'm sure we'll get an update.
Hopefully
we will get an update in the next few hours. But Jack and I have stuff to do, so we're gonna sign off now, and we will be back early next week to recap this full Orioles series. And then the series that the Jays have coming up this weekend against
the Red Sox.
Really? Wow. Yeah. This is just a week from hell for the Jays, eh? The two teams they just can't beat.
We'll see what happens.
Rack up some wins.
Go win the series against Ball.
Hopefully we're not on here next week just pissed. But
would it be a Blue Jay Way podcast if it wasn't?
Yeah, for real. I think we've had one perfect week where they swept the week. But there's always room for improvement, always things to chat about. Jack, it's great to be back with you, man, doing this.
Likewise, buddy.
Unlimited time. I love it.
That's true.
It's nice. It's more relaxed when you don't have to quickly get your thoughts out. So I'm a big fan of that. And thanks for joining us, guys. Make sure you subscribe and like if you enjoy the show. We're gonna get back to our weekly routine here. And hopefully, this kind of massive recap can get you through the week, and then we'll be back next week. So thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys. Comment any questions you want us to answer next episode. And Jack, appreciate you, buddy. Happy belated.
Happy belated to you too, man.
Thank you, man. And yes, guys, we will see you guys next week. It's been a good one here, and we'll keep it rolling down the stretch run. So Chris May, Jack, Ryan, thanks for joining us. Blue Jay Way Podcast signing off. See you guys.
Take it easy, folks.